Hello, I'm BJ from Hearns Hobbies and welcome. I'm going to have a look at this kit today. This is the new Meng Paul Atreides figure kit. And this is from the Dune series, the latest movies by, what's his name? The director is something Villeneuve, isn't it? So there we go. Now Paul Atreides is one of the main characters from the Dune series. I grew up with the original movie, which I thought was fantastic. So the new movies are really interesting too. I've only seen the first one, but the second one is meant to be pretty good too. Okay, let's see what we get inside. Here we go. So we've got the box art. Now this particular version is the Deluxe edition. So there's going to be two versions. Deluxe edition is the first one we received. There will be a standard one. So this gives you a few extras that will not be included in the standard version. Namely, there's going to be a stand included in here and the fabric cloak. And on the sides of the box, actually there's not a lot of detail. It's a bit hard to see, I think. It's quite a dark box. But this is a posable figure, 1/12 scale, and it's very much on the same sort of ideas as the Figma Japanese kits, the Kotobukiya frame arm girls, and then also the 30-minute missions or 30-minute sisters as well. So if you wanted to customize this, I guess there's a lot of different things you could get to customize with it, but I think most people will be building this as per the movie character. Let's have a closer look at all these bits. All right, let's move this aside. What do we have here? First lot of sprue. Now you can see the way that all the parts are arranged. It does have a lot of joints and there's a lot of fabric, so very organic shapes. Let's get in a bit tighter, and if we go in here, get that focused. All right, so I think these are either parts of the arms or parts of the boots. I can't work it out from here. But you can see how that's molded in one. So that's slide molded, which is quite impressive. And hence that's probably why there's this big void down the center, because the mold probably came in here and went inside. And you can see how the slide molding has also, for the insides of the hands, there's actually 3 pairs of hands. So closed hands like in fists, and then different hands to hold different items. There's a pistol and also a knife. And another thing which I'm not too sure about, which looks a bit like a bazooka. Now I'll go through all the details on here. Now being Meng, it's all very cleanly molded and there are lots of bits. And these are inserts for the hands. And that's where I'm talking about the organic nature of it. It's also textured too, so it's got a matte finish. And this is pre-colored in a, I don't know, is a dark olive, I guess you'd call it. Almost like a bronzy green, closer to the black side. There's some joints. And here's another set of hands. There's joints again, and these parts, I'm not too sure what these are. But there you go, so there's your first set of sprue. And we'll be going through the manual too, so we'll get an idea of where everything goes. Over here, we've got multiple pieces. So smaller ones are for the hair, and they're 2 identical parts because they actually get 2 heads. So it makes sense to have 2 lots of hair. There's one head which is full face, and the other one is covered with a mask. So you don't have to worry about swapping over hair. When you're swapping over heads, just swap the whole heads over. Makes it a lot simpler. Okay, let's put those aside. We'll have a close look at those in a sec. All right, so this is the direction here. We've got legs here. And all this sort of ribbing detail is really crisp, along with the textures which are on some of these parts. So we have the pelvis here. This will be part of the torso, part of the lower thorax, and quite a number of the joints. So having a closer look at the joints, you can see how there's a ball joint on this one. And then you have a shaft with the circular motion. So you've got multi-motion here, which is probably for the hip joints. And then here would be probably most likely for the knees. And here's where we can see the detail of all the ribbing. And usually you'll see that where there's ribbing detail like this, as it gets closer to the bottom there, usually you lose detail because that's the problems with the mold. But you can see how Meng's been able to do that quite clearly, and it's remarkable the amount of ribbing detail they've been able to extend all the way down to the joint of that. So that'll be a thigh, I think. Part of the pelvis. Big ball joint here. Those joints I can't work out. It could be knees. But as we go, you can see there's definitely put in the fabric texture. And a bit like Bandai and the other Japanese brands, these are pre-colored, so there's no need to paint it if you don't wish to paint it. Of course, you will get a more realistic finish if you do paint it. You've got that semi-gloss finish, which is sort of plasticky, but the texture, you can see on these parts, really make it quite acceptable if you didn't want to paint it. You see the ribbing on these parts too. Okay, let's put that aside and let's have a closer look at the hair. And I think they've done a marvellous job with the way they've modelled these. So you've got the locating points and the joint, as in where it's going to fix. See here, it's got two flat sections. And again here. So 3 pieces to complete the hair. And I think that's quite a natural look in the flow of the hair too. And again, no flash at all, super clean. All right, let's move on to some smaller parts. Now over here, this looks like some sort of equipment and the knife. I think this is part of the backpack, the tubular section. Some sort of holder here. So these would be the ends to these tubes here. Stuff that looks quite organic, sort of a fabric appearance. And then we've got this backpack type of satchel and some other, I don't know, a triangular thingamajigger, I'll call it. And then we have, there's the dagger, which is made from sandworm's tooth. You can see how it's got the fitting there. So it's just slid in. I don't think I mentioned it before, but you don't need glue for this. An experienced builder will glue the joints together just to make sure that they don't come apart. But if you don't want to, there's no need to. But let's have a look at this. This has actually got some really fine detail in it. Oh, I'm already at full zoom, am I? Let's see if I can get it closer. You might be able to just see the details on the blade there. Nice touch, nicely sharp. All right, what else do we have here? All right, so here we go, we've got the heads. All right, so this is the back of the head, so there's 2 sections there, and then, what are those bits? That's the neck. So you're not going to see much of this. This is just the framework for the head. And those shapes you see there, that's basically for the hair to lock into from both sides. And then we have the 2 faces. So I won't remove these out of the plastic, but they've been pre-painted. And you've got the skin tones there. So there's the full face. And the half face where you're going to be snapping the face mask in place of the seal suit. Okay, so nice options there. All right, so that's the head section. We've got in here, this is quite a bit darker plastic. All right, we've got some weaponry. So we have a section of the pistol here. Some of these other parts I'm not so sure about. That could be a thumper. And that's for attracting sandworms. Okay, let's get in a bit tighter. Right, there's a gun. Lots of surface detail. And these parts here, I think that's part of the thumper, because there's like the spike. And other parts I think are part of the thumper too. Okay, so there's that. And then we've got these sections here. That looks like the belt. And some sort of satchel. And these sections here I think are part of the mask. Alright, let's move that across. Alright, so here we have the torso. This is the chest parts. Alright. This section here is a lot of the joints, as in the internal structures. And then we have the soles of the feet here. The toes are actually hinged onto the soles, which means when you're bending into a, say, a crouch position, you'll be able to bend the toes to make it look much more natural. So you can see you've got the soles of the shoe detail, and then here's the toe section and the hinge in the center there. This is all the structural parts. That'll be to support the arms and such in the torso. And then you've got the outer covering there. And this is a good example of the really organic sculpting they've been able to do. Okay, there's a front end. And here's a back end. So I've got that fabric and sort of leathery rubber look of a like a diving suit type of thing. I think I've done an excellent job. And then on the inside you can see all the locators for all those sections for all the hinges. Alright, we've got one more figure sprue. And this one here, oh wow, look at the texture of that. I think that's a filter for the mask. You've got some pads, they could be knee pads. We've got a lot of bits and pieces here. See if I can get that focused properly. There we go. Now here's that texture that I was quite impressed with. I can't tell whether or not that's going to be covered up by this bit, but it's quite remarkable. Almost looks like a fabric or filter. I think I've done a really good job on all the details. And these all look like inserts for various parts of the still suit. Okay. Now what do we have here? We've got the special parts. This is the additions to the deluxe version of this figure kit. So this is the display. So that's meant to be like a junior part of the planet Arrakis. And then you have this, which is the black base. Like so. Now from what I can tell, that looks like multiple pieces. Is it? Oh, it is. So here you go. So that opens up, and that would be a great place for putting all your spare hands, and also perhaps a spare head, I guess, if it fits in there. Slide there, and then that'll be all covered up by this section. So that just slides over the top. Very nice display base. And then there's a little logo. Now where's the logo go? Oh, the logo goes right in the back there. Okay, so there's the bases. So this is very well worth getting, but it's not just these. Let's move that across. It also comes with the fabric cloak. And that's quite nice. A little bit of actual material for the figure. Oh, okay, let's have a look at the manual. All right, so we have first page. Here is a legend of all the parts. Got the two faces and such. Let's make sure I've got this focused properly so you can all see. That makes a difference. And these are the three items which are part of the deluxe edition. You've got the fabric cloak and then the actual base. All right, so you start off with building the head. There's the two versions of the head, the full face, then the partial face, which is going to be covered up with the mask. Torso is next. So you have the multi-joins here. So that's so you actually move like such. And then it's all clamped together. We've got the lower part of the torso with the ball joints. And then we have the pelvis. And you've got the top part of the torso going onto the bottom. And then you have the pelvis. So you've already got two joints in there, allowing for a lot of action movement and neck going in place as well. Start doing the legs. So you notice here we've got double joints for the knees. So when the knee is fully bent, you have a lot of movement. It goes all the way to the back so it can touch the back of the thigh. Here's where I was talking about the hinged toe sections. Over here, the other leg. And then we go into the arms. Now let's see, a lot of joints here. So you've got the shoulder joints. And the elbows are also double hinged. So that gives you a lot of movement. So you do basically the same for left and right. Over here you've got either the head with the full mask on, or you have the separate mask. And these ball joints are just pressed into place. Here is the thumper. And then we've got the various different hands. There's the pistol there. And the different hands for either the pistol or the knife. There's the backpack, with all those bits we saw before. And then there's the additional cloak. How it all fits together with the backpack and the sling. And then we have the base, which is all pretty straightforward. So there you go. So there's my open box review of the Paul Atreides figure from Meng. This is a deluxe version, which has got the extra base and also the fabric cloak. So if you like this review, please like down below. Or if you'd like to see more content like this, think about subscribing. So thank you for joining me.